It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. I'm your host, Dan Dix. This is Press for Truth Live. We're going to be live for the next little while here, talking about, as you can see by the title of this video, the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights is now taking it to litigation. They are suing the Liberal government because of their sweeping gun ban. So we're going to get into all of that and much, much more. Let me just make sure that we are in fact live. All right, got 74 people tuned in right now, guys. Click that thumbs up button, share this link, let people know we are in fact live, going to be talking about this sweeping gun ban. Hi Angie Starr, hi Jason, hi Sam. Hi from Edmonton, Nova Scotia. Hello, Jose. All right, we got people tuned in. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. As I said, today we are going to be discussing this new sweeping gun ban that is coming in at the hands of the Liberal government. And we're going to be taking a look at this. Let me just make sure I'm on the right page here. All right, we are. We're going to court. Charter challenge is what we're going to be looking at today. For immediate release, the CCFR, as a public relations and education branch of the Canadian firearms community, has not typically pursued litigation as a tool of changing legislation or steering public policy. As a result of this unprecedented attack on the freedom and liberty of Canadian sport shooters and hunters, that is changing. So, as I said, guys, we're going to be getting into the fact that they are taking it to the courts, going to be challenging the Liberal government on this sweeping gun ban because it violates the Charter. It takes away our right to own our own property, and we're going to get into that. Rod Giltaca, of the president and CEO and executive director of the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, put out a video and an article explaining their position on all this. But before we jump into all of that, I wanted to share this with you. It's a really good quote from Stefan Molyneux. It says, "If you are for gun control, then you are not against guns, because the guns are going to be needed to disarm people. So it's not that you are anti-gun, you're going to need the police's guns to take away other people's guns. So you're very pro-gun. You just believe that that only the government, which is of course so reliable, honest, moral, and virtuous, should be allowed to have the guns. So there's no such thing as gun control. There is only centralizing gun ownership into the hands of a small political elite and their minions." And I couldn't agree with him more on that statement, is that for people who are pushing for gun control, they are actually not for gun control. They are actually for guns being in the hands of a certain select group of people, namely government officials. The police are the only ones that they want to have the guns. Now, as I stated in a video a little while ago, I think we'd be better off if we privatized the police force. I mean, when you look at private cops, security guards, and mall cops, they're not engaging in a lot of the illegal activity that we see coming from the state-run police. Those guys are actually stopping crimes for the most part. It's the state police who we have to worry about. So when you are in favor of gun control, what you're really saying is you like guns, you just want the authority to have them. And as Molyneux says in that quote, because the government is so reliable and honest and trustworthy and moral and virtuous. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So let's jump into this article. It just came out from the Canadian Coalitions for Firearm Rights, and it says here, over the last 5 days, the CCFR has looked at what the Liberal Party of Canada has done to us with this massive overreaching firearms ban, and in that short time, to the best of our ability, we have assessed all of the associated issues and the ways that we can respond to protect our members. This issue gives rise to complicated arguments of constitutional law and legislative process. However, the arguments boil down to this fundamental truth, and here it is, guys. The government, in an entirely arbitrary and irrational way, has created legislation that will deprive us of our property and our freedom to live as we wish on pains of incarceration for failing to comply. While we have assessed the legal technicalities of what they have done in great detail, the government is charged with passing legislation governing the nation, and our options are not great. That said, when we took our analysis back to the first principles and the actual nature of our complaint, it became quite clear we believe that this is a wrongful deprivation of liberty arising from an improper exercise of legislative power. Section 7 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms provides that everyone has a right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. I'll read that one more time, just in case it's your first time hearing that, or maybe you really need it to sink in. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. Although the application of this section of the Charter to our circumstances is not guaranteed, this much is clear. What's gone wrong in the process is that we have been deprived, both as to our freedom to live as we choose, as well as being put at risk of incarceration by this law in a manner that is fundamentally unjust. We will ask the court to rule on whether or not the government has the right to deprive us of our liberty, of our property, on penalty of incarceration on fundamentally irrational grounds. And I would agree, it is irrational grounds. Essentially, they are using the emotions of the Canadian people in the wake of a tragedy to just go around Parliament, to surpass the Canadian people, and just to go ahead and put draconian measures in place. This is something the Liberal government has had in plan for a while now. In fact, this is something myself and Rod Giltaca talked about in this video, breaking Trudeau planned sweeping gun ban before October election. I'll put a link to that in the description below, and it looks like we were exactly right, but we were off by about 6 months. It wasn't before the election. It actually ended up being in the wake of a tragedy where literally while the bodies were still smoldering in the burnt rubble, the Trudeau government whisked through this gun ban, now banning upwards of 1,500 different rifles. Now, a lot of people have been looking into what types of guns have been on that list, and wouldn't you know it, this guy is on there. As our good friend Lee Stewie points out, this waterfowl shotgun is now banned in Canada. This is the government's idea of a military-style assault weapon. Trudeau said, you don't need an AR-15 to go hunting. Well, apparently you don't need a duck hunting gun either to go hunting. This is literally an air-triggered rifle for duck hunting. And that made it on the list, guys. Did you know there is currently 2.2 million licensed gun owners in Canada who are essentially now in the crosshairs of the Canadian government, or at least 100,000 of them who are now owners of these prohibited weapons, and they've got 2 years to comply with the government in order to give up their guns. And this is why the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights is taking the Liberals to court. Let's continue. In looking at the role of the CCFR and what our members want and need from us, it is clear that lobbying and running educational programs is not going to solve this problem. Now, while we will keep doing that, of course, to deal with this problem, we must do more. We must fight for our liberty, and we must fight to oppose irrational legislation. In the present case, this requires litigation. We must try to use the powers of the court to stop the unrestrained and abusive excess of legislative authority given to the government. Regrettably, nothing else will work as an additional argument beyond issues of liberty. While the government is clearly authorized by Section 117 of the Criminal Code of Canada to make regulations classifying firearms, we say their use of that authority in this instance is irrational, with no foundation in the factual circumstances of Canadian society. Such an arbitrary exercise of legislative process is abusive, contrary to the principles of fundamental justice, and must be struck down. We will ask the court to do this as well. Now, we are not guaranteed success in this fight, although the arguments are far from frivolous. In the end, we can either choose to simply take this treatment, or we can oppose it in the only ways that we can. And so, here we are. We are doing this. There are no guarantees of a win, but our team believes we have a chance, and we promised our community that we would leave no stone unturned nor avenue unexplored, and we meant it. Stay tuned for details on how you can help when the action is officially filed and where we can go from here. Rod, Tracy, Michael, and the entire team at the CCFR are grateful for your continued support. We are all in this together. And here's their team, JSS barristers. They're experts in litigation of constitutional law, the Constitutional Act, Canadian Bill of Rights, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They've won other cases before. Here's a couple notable cases that they point to, which is why Rod Giltaca decided, and the CCFR decided to go with them, because they have a proven track record for this sort of thing. And that's the kind of people that they need to be working with. That's the kind of people the Canadian gun owners need to be working with moving forward. So this is big, guys. I hope this actually turns into what it needs to. I mean, Rod mentioned that it hasn't officially been filed yet. This is just an announcement that this is the steps that they are going to take. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Is this a good move from the CCFR? I'm going to get back to the chat here real quick and see if we got any questions coming in from the audience. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. We got 296 people watching right now. Hopefully we have at least 296 thumbs up. Please click that thumbs up button, guys. Share the video. It really does help with YouTube's algorithms that are designed to stop this type of info from being seen. And probably just by saying that, the bots are going to pick up on those keywords and suppress this information. On that note, if you are able to, please download this stream as soon as I am finished and save a copy of this video, because as you know, they have been shadow banning my content lately, removing videos from my channel left, right, and center. I can not live stream these end the lockdown protests anymore, or they're threatening me with a strike. And certainly when it comes to the gun issue, they're going to be trying to control that narrative moving forward as well. So let me just head on back here to the chat, and we'll see if we have any questions from you guys. Again, guys, share this link on your Facebook, your Twitter, whatever you got to do. Let people know that we're going to be live for the next little while talking about this ridiculous sweeping gun ban. Some of the guns that they have on here are ridiculous, as we've shown you. An air rifle for duck hunting is literally on the list. And you know, Bill Blair said that this is just the beginning. You know, this is honestly just phase one of a multi-phase process here. As I said, there are 2.2 million licensed gun owners in Canada, and they are the ones who are in the crosshairs of the government here. You know, there is a big agenda to control the Canadian people, but I mean, only so much can be done when good, responsible, law-abiding citizens are packing heat. You see, this is the real crux of the matter here. Obviously, new laws, new legislation is never going to stop anybody like the Nova Scotia shooter from being able to obtain a firearm illegally. I mean, this guy clearly wasn't stopped by any laws, and if this law had been put in place at the time, he still would have obtained his firearms illegally. So it's a completely pointless law, other than the fact that it's going to disarm responsible Canadian citizens who are licensed gun owners, who have been vetted, heavily vetted. As I said in videos before, statistically, it's the unlicensed non-gun holder who is statistically more likely to commit a homicide in Canada. Meaning, you pick the average person off the street, just select someone on the sidewalk, and statistically, they, if they're not licensed and don't own a gun, are more likely to commit a homicide by obtaining a firearm themselves, more so than the licensed gun owner in Canada. Again, all this is doing is disarming good, responsible gun owners who have already been vetted, who could have stopped this guy on his path of destruction. I've been saying this over and over. If there were more of these responsible, vetted gun owners along this guy's path of destruction, he could have been stopped. They wouldn't have had to have waited over 13 hours for the police. And I've stressed this a number of times, and I gotta say it again, guys. Guns clearly were the answer. Guns are the only thing that stopped this guy. So as I quoted from Molyneux earlier, if you're for gun control, that doesn't mean you're against guns. No, you only want the guns to be in the certain hands of certain select group of people, namely the government. So it's not about gun control. It's about centralizing power into the hands of fewer and fewer people. That's what this is all about, guys, and that's why so many people are upset with this sweeping gun ban. A lot of people are saying to me, Dan, why are you, taking your position here with this? These are deadly firearms that can, do a lot of damage. Well, it's none of the government's business what types of firearms we have in terms of wanting to protect ourselves and protecting our person, as the charter goes on to say. So, and as I said, guys, I think the estimated numbers are 100,000 people of these 2.2 million licensed gun owners have, at the flip of a switch overnight, are potentially going to be criminals if they don't hand in their guns over this 2-year period where they're going to confiscate all the guns. It's just absolutely unreal. All right, let me get back to the questions and comments here real quick, because we've been bouncing around all over the place. Let me see if anybody's got any questions or comments. Juniper Abbott says, I like camo. Yeah, it's funny. When I first saw the picture, I was like, gun? What gun? This is just a blank photo. Hey, Dan, how's the noggin? Did anyone track down that coward you-know-what? Yeah, if anybody's not sure about what New World Report is referring to, I was attending a End the Lockdown rally the other day, and some complete coward came up to me when I was separated from some of the people I was with, and they attacked me. They threw a blunt object at the back of my head and boom, smoked me in the back of the head, and then hopped on their bicycle and rode away like total cowards. It was brutal, but to answer your question, I'm fine. No cuts, no bumps. I just had a pretty wicked headache for the rest of the day, but that was essentially it. But yeah, so these people are so brainwashed by the government that they would risk assault charges, that they would physically harm yours truly because I have a different opinion of them. Something I wished I talked about in my follow-up video about that is the collective mindset here, which is why I think they feel personally attacked by my comments. A lot of this stems from that viral tweet where I said people are drinking the Kool-Aid, and if you're of this Marxist collectivist ideology, you are taking that as a personal attack because you are all a part of the collective. And that's why these guys are on the attack now, because they think I've attacked them personally. It's absolutely insane. Good news, Bear says, coward paid for by the government. You never really know in this day and age if it could have been a paid provocateur or something like that. I don't really think so. I think it was just one of these deranged individuals on the left who feel that I am a part of the problem because I go around covering events that go against the status quo. Man, what a crazy thing to do, eh? At least you have time to fight regulations. I've got crushed skulls from an attack on my head, says Michael Pierce. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's really getting bad. Is there any way to get a Canadian Second Amendment? Yeah, there are ways. I think what a lot of Canadians need to do is just not look to the government to put pen to paper in order to give them some sort of a right that they already have. What they need to do is just start to obtaining firearms. Did you know you can obtain a 3D printer and you can now print off blueprints that are available online. You can print your own guns these days. You don't have to go through the system, folks. Marie says, "How did you lose so much weight?" Oh, interesting question. Well, I worked hard at it. I started exercising. I completely changed my diet. No more frozen food. No more processed food. Just eating really fresh, really clean, and walking every day and starting to exercise more often, lifting weights, using my elliptical. I had a really good run there and dropped down nearly to where I wanted to be. I'm still not quite at my goal, and admittedly, in this post COVID-19 world, me and my wife have been doing a little bit of comfort eating, as a lot of other people in the world have been doing. But I'm going to get back on track. Yes, I still have a goal that I'm going to reach. And thank you for noticing. Anyways, yeah, every now and then I'll post an older video, and people are like, "Oh my God, you used to be pretty big." Yeah, I was. Still working on it. Mark Story says, "Dan, the same guy attacked my friend. I was at the march." Oh boy, so he's a serial attacker, eh? Well, hopefully we can get more footage of this guy. I happened to find one clip online from somebody's live stream where it managed to capture the moment. And in my video yesterday, I went through it frame by frame, showing how this coward attacked me from behind. And it obviously could have been much, much worse. Air rifle on the ban list? Asked Timothy. Yes. Yeah, there is. Here, check this out. This is one of the banned so-called assault-style rifles. This tweeted out from our friend Lee. This waterfowl shotgun is now banned in Canada. This is the government's idea of a military-style assault weapon. Remember when he said you don't need an AR-15 to go hunting? Well, apparently you don't need a duck hunting shotgun either to go hunting. This is a air-powered gun for birds. It's like a toy. This is basically a toy. But it is now on the banned list. If you are a farmer, a hunter, a guy up on your farm, and you've used this to kill ducks for food, well, you're now going to be an illegal carrier of prohibited firearm. Guys, it's so brutal in Canada right now. Like, they are just coming for it, man. They're just going for it right now. As I've said, they've been trying to put pen to paper for years, but now Trudeau just said, "Screw that. We've got a crisis here. We've got an opportunity based on this crisis." And that's what he did. He jumped on the Nova Scotia shooting crisis opportunity and whisked through this massively sweeping powers, this legislation that's going to ban 1,500 assault-styled weapons. And let's remember, guys, they haven't defined what assault-style even means yet. They have yet to draft up an actual definition of what they mean by that. So a lot of other guns may end up on this list very, very soon. If you're one of the 2.2 million Canadian gun owners right now, you better pay attention. They might make you a criminal overnight, forcing you to give it in through this amnesty period, which they call it, which I keep saying, let's face it, let's call it what it is. It's a confiscation period. They realize it's going to take some time to condition you to give up your firearms. But if you don't, you've got 2 years to comply. Otherwise, guess what? Criminal charges are coming. That's why the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights sees what's coming down the road, and they're trying to take this to the courts to fight this today before it gets way out of hand. Now, guys, again, if you're just tuning in, the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights have just announced we're going to court, charter challenge. I'll read this once more, not the whole thing, but just the gist of it. The CCFR, as a public relations and education branch of the Canadian firearms community, has not typically pursued litigation as a tool of changing legislation or steering public policy, but as a result of this unprecedented attack on freedom and liberty of Canadian sport hunters, shooters, and hunters, that is changing. And I also have never really been a fan of using litigation or using their own system to fight them against them in the system. Um, Plus, it's using taxpayer dollars, and it's something that I agree. I've normally not really been for, but some people in the last year have been convincing me actually that there is a time and place for that. And this looks like it might be one of those times. This may be one of those times where we need the CCFR and the legal team that he's hired to really take it to them and explain to the courts why this is unjust and why this is a violation of our fundamental rights and freedoms here as Canadians. Otherwise, they're just going to completely march right on over everybody and trample our rights if nobody stands up and does anything about this. And thankfully, the CCFR, the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, is doing just that. All right, let me hop back to the chat, see if we have any new viewers, any new questions or comments. We got 281 people signed in, watching right now. Please click the thumbs up button, guys. Get that number up to at least 200, 280, 281. And also, please check the links in the description to find out how you can support us here at Press for Truth. We are under massive attack from this platform. We're being shadow banned, we're being demonetized, and now we're having our videos removed left, right, and center. So if you want to support us, the best way is to share the videos, share the content, click the thumbs up button, leave comments, help with the algorithms. But another way to support us is to financially support our efforts. You can become a patron at patreon.com/pressfortruth. If you prefer Subscribestar, we have that, subscribestar.com/pressfortruth. On my website, pressfortruth.ca/donate, we have a Patreon alternative where you can sign up for a monthly reoccurring contribution. We accept Bitcoin. I'll take other cryptocurrencies there at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Please check it out. We do need your help moving forward because, as I said, they're clamping down on us. And unless you guys support real independent news channels here on this platform, they're just going to be all completely disappeared soon. On that note, don't forget to join me on these other decentralized platforms and censorship-resistant platforms like BitChute and Minds and Float and PocketNet and Steemit and DTube. There's a bunch of them. DLive. I'm on a ton of them, guys. Check the links in the description to follow me on these other platforms moving forward, because I'm talking about what YouTube considers borderline content controversial topics. So they're going to decide moving forward if I am touching too much on a narrative that they want to keep controlled, they'll just silence me and delete the video and maybe even terminate the channel. So we got to prepare for that. And a good way to do that is join me on BitChute. BitChute.com/pressfortruth is a great place to subscribe. Marie says, I'm subscribed to your BitChute. Excellent. Thank you so much. I hope more people do. I just hit 10,000 subscribers the other day. Hopefully I can get that up to my current, 260,000 here on YouTube. That would be beautiful if I could migrate the entire audience off of this platform, or at least on to another one. So please check out bitchute.com/pressfortruth. Links are located in the description. Irish Stock says, great move by the CCFR. Yep, I agree. Brian says, good info, Dan. Thank you. Noble says, great analogy. Let's see. Rebel News has a petition to sign against the gun grab, says George Watts. I wasn't aware of that. I don't really watch Rebel, but that's, that's a step in the right direction as well. We gotta attack this at all angles. We gotta reject it lock, stock, and barrel, to use the gun pun. But yeah, that's great. Let's see, what else we got? Your website is back then? Thanks for the question, CL Cagwin. My website is back up, but I'm currently unable to post there. I haven't been able to put up anything since October 16th, I believe, or April 16th is the last time I've posted anything. We're working on that, working on it on the back end. I apologize, it's coming through a little slowly, but I'm trying to get back on track. The attacks are coming in at all angles on us as well, guys, but I'm certainly working on it. Again, another good reason why you might want to contribute to our efforts here at Press for Truth. It costs a lot of money to switch websites over to a new host, a new server, figuring out the migration process of going from one type of system to another. It's being complicated and costly, So yeah, if you want to help me in that effort, check the links in the description below to find out how you can contribute. All right. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are covering the fact that the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights is taking the Liberal government to court. They are going to be suing the Liberal government because of this sweeping gun ban, this legislation that was just whisked through on the wake of a tragedy, the Nova Scotia shooting. And as they correctly point out, it's unjust, it's wrong, and unless people like them speak out against it, the government's just going to be able to completely trample over your rights unmolested. But we can't let that happen. Scroll back here, see if I missed anything. Gray State trailer shows why we need to keep our guns, says Nick. Yeah, I'm in that film, Gray State. I remember meeting the filmmakers. They interviewed me while I was covering Bilderberg in 2012 in Chantilly, Virginia. And I haven't actually seen the whole film yet, but apparently I'm in it. People have told me. And I remember doing the interview. Dan, I've heard where the police are going to come into your house and take your guns in USA. How quickly do you see Canada doing that before this 2-year period is over? Well, they're not going to, at least unless they get another opportunity, unless they pounce on another tragedy, I don't think they'll be entering Canadians' homes to confiscate these newly prohibited firearms over the next 2 years. There is a grace period that they call it. As I said, it's just a confiscation period. But I don't think they're going to be clamping down on anybody in that time. But don't quote me on that. I mean, these things change by the day. And as I said, all they need is another opportunity, the right crisis to happen, and boom, they can step this up a notch. I mean, Blair has already said this is only step one. Reporters are asking them, what about handguns and things like that? And they say, well, that's all coming. So they have to do these things incrementally. If they just took all of the 2.2 million licensed gun owners' guns from Canadians in one fell swoop, people wouldn't have it. They would be like, hell no, we're not going to let you just disarm us like that. Well, because it's being done incrementally, Canadians might not notice it quite so much, and they're also, meanwhile, being manipulated emotionally through these tragedies, so they may actually go along with these things as this progresses. But this is why these types of shows are important. This is why we need to bring the other side of the information that you're not getting from the mainstream news to you guys here on YouTube, who are clearly looking for alternative sources for information. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume you are here largely because you are not happy with the information you're getting from the television set anymore. You realize the mainstream media is manipulating your ideas and thoughts and opinions into a very skewed and narrow channel that they want to have you thinking. Like I pointed out in my video about propaganda, how Edward Bernays was the father of propaganda, which essentially is just public relations. And they figured out a way to manipulate the whole of society through utilizing propaganda. Well, hopefully you guys are well aware of all this, and this is why you're here, and this is why I'm going to continue to do what I do here at Press for Truth, despite the stupid threats, despite the violent attacks, like when I was clocked in the head just the other day for covering a rally. I'm not going to let any of this stop me, guys. If you appreciate that, click that thumbs up button. We got 213 people tuned in right now. Hopefully we got at least that thumbs up right now. Nova Scotia needs investigation. Very suspicious, says Brian. Yeah, well, right now the police are investigating themselves. Anytime there's officers involved in a police shooting, there's an organization which is outside of the police essentially, but they're all buddies. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it here in Toronto before, where the police are essentially investigating their own, and of course nothing's ever going to come out of that. So yeah, a real investigation is needed. CL Kegwin says God is in control. I completely agree. He who is in me is greater than he who is in the world, so I have no fear moving forward. The organization is called CERT. Not sure what they're talking about. Donnie Russell says, great work. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Greatly appreciated. If you think so, click the thumbs up button, share the video, maybe even check the links in the description to find out how you can support us. But again, clicking the buttons and sharing the videos is the best way to support right now. So again, guys, if you're just tuning in, we were earlier on covering this. This is a major announcement coming from Rod Giltaca. Maybe we can play a little bit of it here for you. Let's do that.
Okay, everybody, important information. As most people in our community know, the CCFR focuses on public relations and education. Without a better understanding of the issues around firearm ownership, non-gun owners will continue to be deceived by the Liberal government and their collaborators about gun control. This is important work, and it must be done to restore fairness for all Canadians, even, God forbid, people like us. You may also know that the CCFR typically doesn't support legal actions like class action lawsuits or other legal challenges, unless there is a reasonable chance of winning or there's another compelling reason to do them. In other words, the case has to represent some tangible value, some benefit to our members and supporters, or we won't be involved in them. Last Friday, we witnessed a spur-of-the-moment decision by the Liberal Party of Canada to, in our opinion, arbitrarily make our property illegal, based on the actions of a madman who murdered 22 of our fellow citizens in Nova Scotia. These kinds of tragedies are viewed as opportunities to these people, to the Liberals.
Yep.
We know full well it was done in a hurry because the regulation prohibited some hunting rifles, raised some questions around 12-gauge shotguns with removable chokes, and it looks like they even prohibited an airsoft rifle, a toy gun. What the Liberal Party of Canada did was massive, overreaching, and arbitrary. So after 5 days of careful consideration, our legal team believes that we have a valid argument that this violates Section 7 of the Charter. I'm going to read that for you. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. Okay, so in simple terms, the government ought not deprive people of these things unless it can be clearly and rationally justified. So we think that the government deserves the opportunity to provide actual evidence to justify its actions.
Well
don't
said.
you? So the CCFR is suing them in federal court.
Boom.
Another point of argument is that we don't believe that the way that this was done by Order in Council was proper within the scope of the enabling legislation. So again, in short, they went too far with no basis and ignored the fact that these firearms are in many cases appropriate for sporting purposes and hunting. Mm-hmm. Now, we have other arguments, but these are the main points. We are not doing this to cause the government trouble or to let them know that we're upset with them. We're doing this to win. So the CCFR has retained a team of highly experienced litigators specializing in charter cases and class action lawsuits, JSS barristers in Calgary, Alberta. I'm giving you a link in the description so that you can see why we chose them. They've litigated similar cases and won. So if this can be done, these are the people that can do it. As an organization, we are committing a sufficient budget to take this case all the way, including to the Supreme Court of Canada. Okay, now follow me on this. This is important. If the government's actions are deemed arbitrary, sufficient to invalidate the regulation, this could become a precedent-setting case, and it would have far-reaching effects on the use of regulations, including how the government uses them to regulate firearms. Now, I'm not trying to overstate here, but if this went our way, this could be the most influential case for gun owners ever.
Absolutely.
Sounds good, but back to reality for a second. It's not a guaranteed win by any means. There are no guaranteed wins in the court system, no matter what. But our team believes that the Liberals have made significant errors here, so there is a chance. Also, understand that the explanations I'm giving you are very simplified. So this is a very complex case, it's risky, and I'll bring you more detail in the coming weeks, but here's what you need to know today. We're suing the government, we have retained a team, we have the basis of our application, but this case is not filed yet. So it's critically important to me that you all know exactly where this is at, especially if you're considering supporting us. This case is not filed, But there are people working on it as we speak. They're working on it right now, and I will let you know when it is filed. So here we are. We're doing it. Okay? Now, while I have your attention, I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who has supported the CCFR over the last month. I know times are tough for a lot of us out there, and I just want you to know how much we truly appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you're all as excited about this as we are, and I'll tell you this. We will not be blamed or punished for the actions of criminals, and we will never make it easy for the people trying to do that to us. So good luck to us all. I'll update you when I have more information and when we get this case filed.
Great stuff. Great stuff from the CCFR, Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. You know, I love it that Rod Giltaca is stepping up to the plate in this time of need that Canadians need to push back against these draconian measures that, as we said, are clearly only working to the benefit of the bad guys, and good, responsible, licensed gun owners are being disarmed in this nation, and it's got to stop. We need to reject it, lock, stock, and barrel. So that's just something I wanted to bring to your attention today, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think this is a good move? Is this something that you are in support of going after the government in this way in order to try to take it to litigation, try to have the Canadian courts realize that a grave injustice has been done here? Or do you think people should just take it into their own hands and ignore the government, ignore the news, and continue to just doing what they're doing? Well, in 2 years from now, they may be charged with owning an illegal firearm. So that's tough to say as well. Let me know what you guys think should be done moving forward. Let me know in the comment section below. And if you do want to support the CCFR, please check them out as well. Firearmsrights.ca is the website, and there you will find how you can donate or how you can contribute to their cause. Because as I said, this isn't filed just yet. It's literally just in the works. This is just a brand new announcement. So they're going to be filing this with the Canadian government very, very soon, and they're going to need your support moving forward. So check them out. Firearms rights, firearm rights, arm without an S. Firearmrights.ca is the website. Be sure you check that out. And let me just quickly hop on over to the chat one last time before we book on out of here for the day, guys. Make sure we don't have any new questions. All right, it's flying by pretty quick. Let's see. All right, a lot of comments, a lot of support. Thank you, everybody, for showing your love and support. I'm not really seeing too many other questions. If I missed yours, I apologize. There's a lot. I'm trying to scroll through here. But I think we'll call it. You got the gist of it for today, guys. CCFR is going after them. They're going for it, and God bless them for it, because at a time when Canadians are emotionally distraught from such a tragedy, the worst shooting in Canadian history, it's disgusting that the Liberals would use that opportunity to just fast track their age-old agenda of gun control, complete gun bans here in Canada. Now, critics are going to say they're not coming for all the guns, they just want the assault rifles where you can kill a lot of people in a short period of time. Well, these things happen incrementally, guys. Today, there's over 100,000 licensed gun owners who have just been turned into criminals overnight should they not give up their gun in this 2-year confiscation period. That number can soon grow to the entire 2.2 million licensed gun owners in Canada. We've seen governments do it before. Let's not, miss the fact that it's certainly possible it can happen again, especially here in Canada, guys. So that's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring that one to your attention. Good stuff coming from the CCFR. I'm going to continue to track that one as it develops. As we said, they haven't even filed it yet. It's just a breaking news announcement that this is in the works. So I wanted to bring it to your attention. Again, thank you so much, everybody who's been contributing and supporting my efforts here at Press for Truth to bring you this information by liking the videos, by sharing them, and by with your financial support too. I used to get super chats popping up during these live streams, but I don't get that anymore because YouTube has removed that ability to do so. But if you would like to contribute a couple bucks, $5, $10, $20 here and there is greatly, greatly appreciated. Please check the links in the description to find out how you can do that. You can use PayPal, you can use Patreon, you can use Subscribestar, you can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, you can use the Patreon alternative. There's a number of ways to contribute financially if that is something that you are able to do. Please only do so if you are able. I know we're in tough times right now. It is very difficult. People are not getting their paychecks these days because of COVID-19. So if you are in that boat, please just share the videos and like and comment. But if you are financially stable, if you are able to contribute to my efforts here at Press for Truth, please consider doing that as well. We do need your help moving forward, guys. Gator just says, I've donated hundreds of dollars to Dan's channel and well worth it. Thank you so much for that, Gator Hog. It's honestly, it's people like you who are making it possible for researchers and independent videographers, documentarians, and journalists like myself to be able to bring this information to the masses. I simply would not be able to do it without guys like you. So thank you so much for that. Yerky says, thanks, Dan. The CCFR announcement is now shared on my social media, as is the petition to Parliament. God bless you and your wife. Thank you. I'm glad that this is starting to spread like wildfire, so to speak. So that's great. Let's see. Don't give them up, says Car Wash. Yeah, I would agree. That's probably a good idea. Let me see. All right, not too many other questions. Dan, do a control plus F for question marks. I don't know what that means, but maybe I can somehow search the chat for all anytime somebody puts up a question mark. I'll try that. I don't want to mess anything up here, but thanks for the tip. Dan, please read mine out. Where is it? Let's see. She's an independent. She's got ethics and knows the laws. Let me scroll back to see. I've got a lot of people commenting. Here we go. I told my MP, a conservative, to call for an all-party non-confidence vote, get the MPs back into Ottawa, and appoint Jody Wilson-Raybould as the interim leader until things can get sorted out. All right. Well, interesting. I'm the voluntarist / anarchist in me says no. Let's not put it back into the hands of the MPs whatsoever. In fact, I think we should disassociate with government as much as possible. If you haven't seen my film series called The Democracy Deception, please check it out. I did it a few years back when during the campaign, Trudeau's campaign, I had the Trudeau Deception, the Mulcair Deception, the May Deception, but I also had the Democracy Deception, where I sum up my views on that. So please watch that if you haven't already. Okay. I think we may call it for the day. Yeah, no new questions, or we got, well, a lot of comments, but no new questions. But the point for today's video, guys, was to let you know that this is happening. This is breaking news. They just announced it about 2 hours ago. So I wanted to go live today, let you guys know that that's going on. Thank you once again, everybody who's been supporting my efforts here on this channel by being a loyal subscriber, by sharing the videos, by clicking the thumbs up button, by leaving comments, and especially for anybody who's contributed financially to my cause here. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I can't do this work without you. So that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you again for tuning in. We will be back here with more video reports. God willing, as you know, I'm heavily shadow banned right now. They're trying to stop me from being able to continue to do this. So on that note, don't forget to subscribe to me on all these other channels, BitChute.com/pressfortruth, Float, Minds, Steemit. There's a bunch of them. Check the links in the description below, and please join me on these other platforms because before I just completely disappear from here on YouTube. That's all for today, guys. Once again, thank you so much for your continued support, and that's all. Share this video. Let people know the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights is taking a stand for the licensed gun owners here in Canada. And as I said, I'm going to continue to track this one as it continues to develop. As I said, they haven't filed it yet. It's just a breaking news announcement. So I will stay on top of it as it continues to develop. That's all for today. Once again, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you later. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.